They deserve to know what I am.
Watch where you go, I'm an animal.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Brandon and this is Film Flair, where we discuss anything and everything that makes film and television great. So be sure to subscribe and let's talk about a great show. Netflix just premiered this new show, Fate, the Winx Saga, and I'm conflicted by it. I really wanted this to be a great show, and it's about 70% there, but that final 30% really makes its absence felt. This show is about a magical boarding school for fairies where they have to learn to master their powers, along with navigating love, friendship, and all the other things kids in a boarding school have to deal with. Oh, and then there's the monsters that are also threatening their very existence. Now, this show is a live-action adaptation from a Nickelodeon animated series, and since its announcement, I've heard this show get a lot of pushback from the fans of the original animated show. Now, I've heard of the original show, but I've actually never seen it. I want to talk about the show in a self-contained bubble of its own, and as a standalone, it really does have a lot going for it. First off, this school feels like a mix between Hogwarts and Breakbills from sci-fi show The Magicians, but even Breakbills feels like the more modern version of Hogwarts. Basically, once you've seen one boarding school for magic, you've kind of seen them all. The key differences are the characters and the stories that come out of them. And I did like these characters. In this show, you've got Aisha, the classic overachiever, Tara, the shy girl who wants friends a bit more than they want her, and Musa, the girl who doesn't look like she wants friends either way. There's really not much to these three characters in the beginning, but as the story progresses, they really turn out to be more than just barely tolerable as they seem in the pilot. Next up, you've got the two best friend cool kids who are actually so similar, I had difficulty telling them apart at first. And really, there isn't too much to them for the most part, and they feel like they're really just around the story rather than having a direct part in it. But I guess the show needed a couple of love interests for our characters. Then we've got Stella, the queen bitch. She's literal royalty and has the attitude and baggage that comes along with it. But I really did like the fact that there was more to her as the story progressed and the season moved forward. And finally, you've got Bloom as the classic new girl in town who has no idea what's going on and is searching for answers to questions about her past that she never even knew she had. These characters feel very familiar, as we've seen their basic archetype plenty of times before, yet they're unique enough to feel different within the confines of this particular story. And I did like the fact that this story chose to mix in first-year students with veterans of the school so that some of the relationships were already established and the whole story doesn't have to start from scratch. Plus, it opens up a bit more opportunities for storytelling as we learn about these characters' past histories, relationships, and time at the school. Now there's a lot to be introduced here, from the different realms to the creatures and their powers. And I think the pilot did a pretty good job of introducing all of these things without having to go into massive info dumps for the audience, as well as setting things up for the future of this story, whether it was relationships, conflict, or the mysteries. And as the series moves forward, it handles putting all of that together pretty seamlessly. And the rest of the story itself was pretty okay. There's a lot happening in the series, from the schoolwork and learning how to use their powers, to developing a whole bunch of different relationships, to trying to solve the core mysteries of the story. It's basically your run-of-the-mill teen drama with the dash of the supernatural to help spice it up. But most of the story focuses on a few mysteries that would honestly work just as well without the existence of these magical creatures. It's a lot of ground to cover in only just 6 episodes, and unfortunately it does end up feeling rushed, like there were a couple chapters missing here and there. And it does make me wish there were just a few more episodes. Not necessarily because I loved the show so much, but because it felt like there was just so much missing with the show having to skip over some key points in the story. I would have liked a slower pace to fully flesh out and explore certain points and aspects of the story that just feel like they get glossed over in the series. And I think that's part of the reason why I wasn't such a huge fan of the ending of the season. Sure, the show did wrap up all of its plot lines, but while some of it was all too neat, like the world was rosy and they all lived happily ever after, Other parts came a bit out of left field and without any real explanation. But all of that confusion does introduce a lot of topics to cover in the next season, so maybe it was planned that way. But if the show does get renewed, I really do hope they opt for a longer season order and take their time to work through this story. It was actually an interesting show, and with only 6 episodes, it's really easy to sit down and finish the whole season, although it did have me wishing for a bit more. And with those couple of reveals at the end, there may be future seasons in store for this show. But that of course all depends on the audience's reaction. So what did you think of this show? Let me know your thoughts on Fate, the Winx Saga in the comments below. It's available now for streaming on Netflix. But before you go and watch it, please do be sure to give this video a like and subscribe for more reviews like this. We've got new content coming out every week. But until next time, have a great day and don't forget to watch a great show. Bye.
They deserve to know what I am.
Watch where you go, I'm an animal.